Well, welcome all of you. We're grateful to have you with us this afternoon. This is our family history update UV tag class. Today is the 26th of January of 2021, and I'm Don Snow. I'm in St. George, Utah, and our host for Zoom for the class is up in Orem. Garrett Roof, he's up there taking care of the technical stuff. Today we're talking about searching your computer, part one, file names. Now, when I started to prepare this, I was going to do the whole thing in one class, and then it became so big that I thought I better split this up. And so I ended up splitting it into three parts, and we'll talk about what those parts are here in a couple of minutes, and we'll see the in the month of February. The notes are online down there at that URL, and Gerhard usually makes a PDF of them and puts it in the chat box on Zoom and on Facebook. They're available. And by the way, we welcome all you folks that are on Facebook that may be watching this. If any of you are watching, it'd be interesting for us to know where you're from, where you're watching from, what part of the world. Searching your computer, part one. Let's look at an overview of the notes to start with. And there's that same URL where all my notes are stored. And that has the links to these notes as well as all the other class notes. Now I'm going to switch over. I'm going to do, let's see, an Alt tab and go to my note page. This is my note page where that link takes you. The UV tag, in case you don't know, is Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. And we're an organization that's been going for some 30, we're up to 31st year. We're in our 31st year, if you can imagine that. And Gerhard Roof, that's hosting this, is the president. I happen to be one of the vice presidents. And so on there is my class notes page. This is my class notes page. There's some information here on my other web pages that are linked to this on this A here. And I hope you can see that big red circle that where my mouse is. That helps me to see it. And hopefully it helps you to see it too. The Freeware Corner articles, there's stuff in there that relates to what we're talking about today. So there are other notes that are available on here. Here's the classes coming up. This is today. Number one is today's class, the 26th of January of 2021. And this is the fourth Tuesday. And it's Searching Your Computer, part one. 2 weeks from today, on the second Tuesday in February, we'll be talking about part two of this, which will be how do you find text files that have certain text in them. If you don't know the name of the file, but you want to find what's in it, so you remember something's in it, we'll talk about that. Today, we're talking about how do you find the files that have titles. Then the third one, the third of the series, we're going to be how do you find the duplicate files? Because we all have duplicate files, at least I do. I got lots of them, and they're filling up my hard drive, and I need to clean them out. Then the fourth class on here is the Roots Tech Connect class. They invited me to do one for it, and I recorded it in December. And it'll be online starting on the 25th of February. And those will be available for the next year, they tell us. It's all free. It's all virtual. It used to be in Salt Palace in Salt Lake, but this year it's all free and virtual. And so you can sign up for it, no charge. If you haven't already signed up, click on that link there and it'll take you right to the sign up. And there's over, I think, 250,000 people already signed up for it. And they're from 160 different countries, as I recall. And they've got, I think there's 250 different teachers and something like 800 different classes. And they'll be available for everybody to watch for no charge. Down here in the past, these are the past classes. The notes, and these are the notes. Searching Your Computer, part one, file names. Okay, now there's an abstract. there's an abstract here with what we're going to be talking about. We won't take time to read that. Here's the welcome and introduction. And item 4 is the problem for today: how to find files and folders on your computer when you know something in the file or folder name. Now, if you're like me, I got lots of stuff that's old and strayed and that's not named right, so they're hard to find. And I find all kinds of new stuff that's been on there for a while, but I lost track of it. Files on our computers. There's a section here that gives you some information on that. Item 5 mentions that computers contain thousands of files. I'll show you how many files are on this. This is my desktop computer that we're using to broadcast this today here in St. George. And they're scattered all over the place because some of you remember the old names when we could only use 8 characters and then a dot and then 3 more characters for the file type. Those days are gone forever, but I've still got a lot of old files that were in there and named that way that I don't know what's in them now. I got to check, and hopefully I used enough of a text or something in there that I can pick it up. I'll show you some examples. Item 7 on the notes here shows you what you do if you don't see already on your computer the extensions of the file. Now, the extensions are that dot thing after the dot. There are things like there's a few of them listed right here in the notes, like a .doc or .docx or .txt or PDF, and those things. Those tell you what kind of a file it is. And if your computer is set so it doesn't show those, and I think Windows 10 defaults to not showing them. This is the instruction on 7 there, how you turn that on so that you can see them. I find it extremely helpful to be able to know what kind of a file it is. And so I recommend you turn that on. Then finding files, knowing something in the file name. We're going to be looking at this. We'll do some examples here in a minute. The item 8 is the Windows search feature. There's a Windows search feature that's built in. Doesn't work very well, but keep it in mind because it might help sometime. The main thing we're going to be discussing as an example is a free program called Everything. That's the name of the program, Everything. And there's a link as to where you can download it. And we'll be looking at examples of using that and what it's good for because it's extremely helpful. Then file naming for ease in finding and sorting. This afternoon, while I was waiting for Gerhard to get things going, I was looking on my own computer here to find old stuff, and I found bunches of old things, old folders and files that have weird names that I need to go through. It's going to take me hours to do it, and you'll see that I have barely started, but it really pays off to find those and then name them something so that you can find them easily. And we'll see examples of that as we go. And then there's the conclusions. Okay, now that's the notes, and they're available on my website, which is listed on the right there on that. And if you lose track of that, you can go to the uvtag.org webpage, uvtagg.org, and look for resources and go down to Dawn's webpage, or just do a Google search for Donald R. Snow genealogy and you'll come up with it. Anyway, that's an overview of the notes. Now, these computer files, there are thousands of files on your computer. You'd be surprised at how many there are. I'll show you what's on this computer here in a few minutes. You get old and lost folders and files and duplicates, and that takes up space, and you try to find what you did before and you can't find it. And we're going to show you some ways to help in solving that problem. So we're trying to find what you're looking for. Now, there are a bunch of computer files on there that are system files. Don't delete those because those are crucial. And in some of the programs, in particular the program Everything, you can turn off showing those so you don't inadvertently look at those and search those. And so on. This is the file searches that we already talked about. By file name, that's today. And then the next class is going to be on file content, how you find stuff inside the file, if you remember something that's inside it. And then how do you find all the duplicates? Okay, now searches for file names. there's a Windows search feature that's built into Windows, and it has been in for quite a while. I'm going to shift gears here. I'm going to, let's see, Alt Tab and go back to this so that you can see my screen. Now, what you're seeing is, I'll go up the top here so you'll seeing the notes. These are the notes, but any screen, well, in fact, I'll do it just well. Right down here in the lower left corner, I hope you can see where my red dot is circling around down there. It says there's a Windows icon right there in the corner, and then there's a box here that says type here to search. Now, there are two different search boxes built into Windows 10. That's one of them right there. Click on the icon. There's the icon. And the other one opens up right above it. You see that where it says search? So there's the search, and here's the other search box. There's two boxes. And they seem to do different things, but I can't figure out what the difference is. And they're not organized well, at least not in my way of thinking, not the way that some of these other programs do. But there's two different boxes. I'm going to type in here, Snow. Well, I better do it with the way I use it. Snow Donald Ray, and I was born in 1931. And so I put 1931 dash. And now without hitting enter, notice that it brought up a whole bunch of different files and folders. There's folders, and they seem to be intermixed in different places. Here's pictures. The 94 pictures that happen to have that in here. There's a bunch of documents, 10 documents. Now, there's lots more than that on here. So that's what I don't understand what this is doing and how it works. Just keep it in mind that it's there, and it might help you sometime, but it's not. I don't use it very often. In fact, I don't think I've ever used it really to find anything, because the other program I'm going to show you is so much better. But this is the simplest way. It's built right in, and it's right there. And you can also type that same sort of thing in down below. In fact, I'll copy it and put it down in this other search box. And you get a different display. Here we get the best match was something in, I don't know what it is, wherever it occurred, sometime in 2020, August of 2020, something up there. It says, you want to search the web for this? Here's a bunch of documents, but not all the documents are here. And so I don't know which ones they actually bring in. And so just keep in mind that it may be useful, but it's not the most handy sort of thing to use. Okay, now let me go back, and that's the Windows search. That's built right into Windows, and so it's there, but it's probably not the simplest thing to use. Everything is the program that I use as it's really a workhorse. It's free, and the link is on the notes there as to where to download it from. And if you download it and then use it to search, you'll find all kinds of things that you thought were lost forever. Going through a bunch of these things and renaming some old files that I found that I'd forgotten they were there. And they're because I had my initials DRS in there. I tried searching for DRS and found a bunch of new stuff that I wasn't even aware of that's there. It's going to take me hours to get all this stuff cleaned up. And then file naming, we'll talk about that as we do some of the illustrations on this. Okay, now let's spend our time the next little while here on looking at examples and demos of using this program, everything in particular. I'm going to go back to the website, back to here, and then if I do a Control D, there's my desktop. This it's up here at the top in the middle, big magnifying glass, and I've also put it down here, down in the bottom. There's a magnifying glass down there. It's pinned to that. So either one, I can get to it down here easily. So I clicked on it, and it says, what do you want to do? You want to let this thing run? Yeah, I do, and I want to let it work on my computer. So I click yes. Now, the first time you do this, it may take a few seconds to go through your computer and find all of the files on your computer and folders. And what you saw here, that fast, it brought them up. Earlier this afternoon, I updated the collection. It took probably, 10 seconds to go through my whole computer and update all of these things. What you're looking at here on the left is an alphabetical listing, first of all, of file folders. You see, it looks like a folder in front of these things. This goes on down file folders, folders, folders for a long ways, and then it turns into files themselves. Now, the file folders don't have extensions, and that's one of the ways you could tell a folder from a file if you turn on the extensions. But look down here in the bottom corner. It may be too small for you to see, but it says 2,938,132 objects. What that's giving is the number of files and folders on this computer.
Gee.
That's almost 3 million files and folders on here. And so finding stuff is hard. Even on this is my desktop, the one I use all the time. My laptop has something like 500,000 folders on it, and I only use that usually for presentations or when I'm traveling. Now, this is the program. It's free. It's called Everything. And you notice up at the top that says File, Edit, View, and all that sort of thing. We'll talk about some of those here in a minute. Where that little thing is flashing up there in the left, that's a little where you put in the search terms. Now, watch what happens when I put in the same search term that I did a minute ago in the Windows search. Snow, Donald, Ray, 1931. Now, what it gave me is a complete listing of every folder and every file on this computer that has that in the title. And it was that fast. Now, this is a fast computer, but even if you don't have a fast computer, it will be almost that fast. Now, these are all sorted in order. They're alphabetical order. So we're first of all seeing the folders, and there's a way you can turn off the folders and only show files, or vice versa, whichever you want to. I'm scrolling down. I'm just hitting the mouse wheel. I'm scrolling down here. There's so many of them. Well, it should tell us down below how many. I can't even read it. I don't know how many there are. So I'm just gonna arrow. Now I'm hitting down. What I'm doing is I'm going down. I'm hitting the arrow, the page down. Okay, now it's down into some photos. All of them that happen to have that Snow Donald Dollar thing. Now it's down into things that are in alphabetical order. 1951, I was on a mission down in Mexico and Central America. That's how many years ago? It's 70 something years ago. And there's a letter I wrote to my dad and mom on, notice the date on there, 1951-02. So that's February 6th. That was a letter that I wrote from the Mexican mission back to mom and dad on there. These are letters. I've transcribed the letters on there. And so I'm just arrowing down now. I'm just arrowing down and showing you the stuff. So it's going through and it's showing all the details of what's in there for all of these things. And there's probably, I've got 2,000 or 3,000 items with my name in this format with that date. So those all sort in chronological order. Now, if I wanted to say, okay, well, I really only want to know what happened in school. So I type in my name and then I put school. Now it's listed. Now there's 100 down in the lower corner, lower left-hand corner here. I can see 152 items. This is just ones that have a keyword that got my name in there and their date. They're still alphabetical, but now it's got just the word school in there. It's something that happened in school. That's a city directory for North Hollywood, where I grew up. And I actually worked for this company. You see down here where I'm circling around, Langlands and Shade. That was the record and TV store when TVs first came out, right after World War II. And I was working in the store when all kinds of things came out then. And Langlands and Shade was the places in the store in North Hollywood. And we sold records. We sold the old 78 records, 78 RPM records, and then vinyls came out, 33 1/3, and wire recorders came out. Some of you don't even remember wire recorders. And then tape recorders came out. All of that came out while I was working. The TVs came out, and we sold all that stuff, and we helped deliver it and set up and all that sort of thing. So now this is everything that's related to school. Now I see I've misspelled. Now there's one. You see I put SS school in there. So I'm going to show you an illustration right here. Since I'm working on the computer that I do want to keep all this stuff on, I'm going to rename that. So that file, that's a picture from the yearbook in North Hollywood High School in 1948. And I misspelled that school. I put S school. I'm going to right click on that. And one of the options down here in the right, remember right click always opens a menu, is I clicked on rename. So now I'm going to go along and I'm going to rename. I'm going to get rid of that S. So now it just says school. So it's spelled right. Did I spell anything misspelled? Yeah, I look at education. See, I changed some of these things from small letters to large letters, and I see I left a small N on there. So now I got that corrected. Okay, so now that's all there is to correcting it. So you can use this program and you can rename files to get them straightened out. So there's this is everything related to school. I went to UCLA, then I went to on a mission, and then it was Navy. It was Korean War days, so I went to the Navy, and then up to BYU for 1 year, and then graduated from the University of Utah, and then went to Stanford for graduate school. So all that stuff is in here. And look, now here's one where I had it. I put school and education. I didn't put them in caps, and I usually prefer it in caps for the keywords. So I'm going to go change that one while I'm here too, since down here there's the rename. So I clicked on there, SCHOOL, and then get rid of the lowercase stuff, and then education, DUCA. Did I spell it right? I think I hit the wrong. No, I guess I got it right. Okay, and now get rid of those. There. Okay, now that one's corrected.
I think you have two eyes.
Say that again.
I think you have two eyes in that word.
Oh, I do. Thanks. That's one that wouldn't have shown up without the right spell. Thank you. Okay, now you can see here's more, but you can see this is what I got hooked on this happened. This happens every time I teach a class. I find new stuff that needs correcting or that's going through, and there's several things here that you see. And so but you can do it very easily with this thing.
Yeah.
And so this is all, you know, it's a free program. Was that a question, Eric?
I have a question, Don.
Okay.
If you didn't have this window on the right,
Yeah.
does that show the location of the file?
Yes.
If you had two files that were the same, you could tell where each one was located?
Correct. Now that and you've led right into the next subject here. Across the top here, where it's got all these different items, this is one of the things you can do. If you click here on view, you see where it says view, it says file, then edit, and then view. Notice that I've got a check in front of preview. Watch what happens if I turn that off.
Oh, then you get the file location.
Then you get the file details. You get the location, the path to it. And if you scroll all the way over, it's not big enough to see, but if you scroll all the way over, you get the date it was created and the date it was modified. And so that one where I corrected it today, it'll have the modification date as today. And then the size of the file over there. And
Yeah.
so, and you can sort on any one of these things that you want to. For example, if I want to sort all these things, it's still set for school. But if I say, okay, well, let's see what I got. I'm going to click over here in path. Now these are all sorted by the path that they're in. So they're no longer sorted by the title of the thing over here. But this is the question that came up. There may be the same file in several different folders. There probably is bunches of them that are duplicates. That's what I need to get rid of. And we'll talk about that in that third session of this, searching the computer. Question? Another question that somebody had?
I'm just wowing.
Oh,
It's amazing.
This program is, I bet I use this program 10 times a day. And when I'm cleaning up
Wow.
my computer, it's more often than that when I try to find stuff.
We can see that he has and he's taught classes on that, on how to label files too. So
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so we've already showed you a little bit about labeling files thing, but that's we go. Now let me show you what this afternoon I thought, well, gosh, I bet I got a lot of files that back in the old days, I probably named some with just my initials, DRS. So I just typed DRS in there. This is everything on this whole computer that has just DRS in the title. These are folders to begin with. And then further down here, here's where the file names start. So ENEX, that happens to be a backup file of from Evernote. Here's an LNK, that's a link, shortcut link of something or another. And so on, all these have DRS in them, and there's probably some places in here where there's a bunch of photos that I need to go through and relabel. I need to correct these. Now look, these were probably back in the days when we could only name things by, a few characters and something.
8, yeah.
And so my 89.3, that's probably 1989 March. But I'm not sure until I click on that and figure out some way to open up. I don't even know what kind of a file that is now. So I've got a ways to go. 95W was probably winter semester of 1995. And so that was a calendar, probably a calendar from the math department or something like that. D92 would probably be December 90. That was what I did in those days, but I don't know for sure. WP7 was WordPerfect 7.
Wow.
And I can remember some of these things. Wave, that's a wave file. That's an audio file. And so I could play that one. It was some kind of a show, slideshow that I did. I don't know what it is, but see, this is stuff I need to go back and rename and get cleaned up on here. But you can see that I got a lot of work to do, but you can see how this program is going to be so helpful in getting things done, because all of this is just files that have DRS someplace in them, and they may not pertain to me as Donald R. Snow. They may be something like, here's Padre, P-A, the father in Spanish. So the no, it does have PADRS. I don't know. Anyway, you can see what I got. I got a lot of work to do. But finding this stuff, there's Roots Tech 2016 is anyway, you can see what you can do with this stuff and how you can find it so easily. Now on here, let's go through some of these things up here at the top and tell you what some of them do. I'm going to go back and I'm going to click on this view, and I'm going to turn back on the some of these other items. On the view, down here is large icons. Watch what happens when I do large icons. Now it shows me these things. This one with that cone, that's the code or the icon for what's the program? A VLC. It's a really good program that shows files, that plays music, DVDs, and shows videos and all that stuff. And so you can see at a glance here what's in them. Some of them are photos. Some of these things are there's probably I guess those are either text files or don't know what they are.
That's PDF.
Oh, that's a PDF. Yeah, there's PDFs on there. And so I've been able to use this to find a lot of files that I've been looking for, of stuff I've scanned. Yeah, look at all these. These are all PDFs. And been able to sort them out and find stuff, even though I haven't relabeled it. I do a lot of scanning of files, of old folder stuff, things that I have, and then relabel it later. And I bet I've got 3,000 things on here that I haven't renamed yet. And so trying to find it is a problem. That's on this view thing. And so you can use large icons, or you can use extra large icons, or you can do 2 or 3 other things you can do on here. And the one I usually leave it set for is the details one. There's details, because this shows all the details, and then the path and all that stuff on there. And if you wanted to search for stuff, if you thought, well, I was working on that maybe last year, you can search over here. You can move this stuff over. Let's see, can I get this moved over? It's there's the bar. Move it over here. You can search, sort on here on the date modified. There's the last date that these were modified. I don't know which direction this is going, whether it's going up or down. It's going down now, so I'll click again. Now it's going up. So if you remember roughly even the year or the date that you were working on it, then you can figure out the date from there, and you can find, even if you can't remember what was the title, well, that have to be JPEGs, a bunch of JPEGs on there.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
On date created versus date modified, it seems like if you're copying a JPEG or something like that, as soon as you copy it, it destroys the date created.
Right. Well, it leaves the date created will be the same, but the date modified will be different.
It does leave the date created?
I think it does. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's the other way around, Don. Your new copy of the file that you just copied will have today's date because you just created it today.
But he
the
didn't
date modified will be the old one. It'll be before the date created, like these files that he has here. Notice that these files all have a later 2007 date modified, but they have a 2009, 2010 date created.
Yeah, I guess that's right. I see what you're saying. Yep. So that's one of the reasons that I put the date in the name. So, and most of these, several of these, well, these don't here, but several of the other files will have, you'll see the names in there, or the date. See that here's one, the date, BYU, something that's a PDF with the date it was occurred. So I can search on those dates right here in the file title. But yeah, okay, good. That's another whole story about photos and all that sort of thing. Well, it's anyway, that gives you some ideas. Let me just finish up by showing a couple more things here. There's a couple of things on the search, and there's a search parameters here. You can search for different kinds of things, and you can say, I want to see these, but not these. So you can put in the not thing in here, all kinds of different things. You can put in bookmarks of different sorts of things that you've done. And for example, I've got a search for all the ODPs. That's files. Let me click on that and I'll show you what it is. These are ODPs, are PowerPoints that are in this, what I use, Impress from LibreOffice, which is free. It's like PowerPoint. And so this, I put in a search, made a search, and there it is. And so I don't even have to type ODP in again. It's right there in the bookmarks. Or if I want to find all the ODTs, that's open document format. That's like docs and all that. There's all the ODTs. So you can form bookmarks and leave them set in there. Here's the tools where you can set things the way you want. There's options. I'm going to click down here on options and look at all these different kinds of options that you can set. I've got it turned off in here so I don't see the program, the system files, so I don't mistake those, and click those, and you can do all kinds of other things, different sorts of searches and different sorts of ways to show the data and the results. And the whole program is free. They would like a donation, but it's completely free, and they don't nag you for the donations on it. Now, that gives you some the basis for the whole thing. Let's go back to it's a slideshow, it's not a PowerPoint. And we've looked at examples. Here's a summary as to what we've talked about. We looked at all the computer files, and the computers get loaded with files. And we discussed today finding by file name. And other classes are going to talk about other ways of searching. We did the program everything, which is the most handy program and I use it just daily, many times. And we talked about naming files, and there's a section in the notes there about naming. Give it a name so that it'll alphabetize where you want it, and with the collection you want, and then the date, and put the date in international date format. So it's got the year, then month, and the day in digits, and then it'll all sort alphabetically. When it sorts alphabetically, it's chronological. Part 2 that we're going to be talking about in 2 weeks is going to be how do you find file content? If you remember something that's in the file and you don't know the title of it, how do you find that? Okay, questions and comments. We got a couple of minutes here where we didn't start till late. So anybody have any questions further or comments?
It looks like a lot of work.
Oh, there's always lots of work. Yeah, anybody who says all their genealogy and all their stuff is all done, it's clear they haven't thought it through. But hopefully these are tools that will help you. And you may have noticed that my emphasis in family history is not so much on finding my ancestors 10 generations back and extending the line. That's important. But because of my age and the people that I associate with, my emphasis is on how do you keep track of your own data and get your own stuff done with your own parents. And like, I'm the only one that's alive that knew my dad. Well, maybe some of my cousins remembered him, but my brothers died, and my wife, he died before I even met Diane, and my mom's dead. So all the stuff, and I keep finding new things from all of them. So my emphasis is really on keeping track of a whole bunch of stuff now and trying to get stuff straightened out. Anything else?
I had a question.
And if not, I appreciate you watching and listening. And the notes are on there at that same website, and the video will be on Facebook, on our Facebook UV Tag Facebook page, as well as on YouTube when we get everything going on that. So I appreciate you all watching, and we'll see some of you in a couple of weeks.
Don.
What's that? Another question?
Does everything come in both Windows and Apple?
There's something comparable in Apple, but I don't know whether I don't know the answer to Evernote, whether it works. There's probably something comparable. It may be built into it.
No, everything, the program, everything. It works with Windows. Does it also work with Apple?
And that we don't know.
Okay.
You'll have to check and see, but there's something comparable to everything in Windows, in Apple. But I don't know. Somebody told me about that once, and I should have written down what the program was, but I didn't, and I don't remember it.
Okay.
So I don't know whether it's built in or whether it's an app that you have to download.
Okay.
Anything else? Wonderful. Well, I appreciate y'all being with us. Keep safe.